All right, coming in at number 54 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings, we're going to the USHL with John Mustard, a centerman, left shot, August birthday, and this guy's got some offensive pop in his game.
Yeah, Ross, I love that his last name is Mustard because it's like that old saying, he put some mustard on that shot, right? Like it's when you get a little oomph on it. And if there's one thing I noticed from watching highlights of John Mustard is he puts the mustard on his wristers. Like he's one of those guys where when he'll have the puck at like the top of the circle, and if he has enough space, you can tell he's loading up a massive wrist shot because he gets low, he puts a lot of pressure on his body weight, and it takes about 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds for him to fully wind up, toe drag, put pressure, and release. But if he has that time and space to do it, he was making goalies look silly. Like they're reacting a second out, like he shoots top shelf, already selling, and then the goalie moves their glove. Like he has such a nice shot. It's just about, can he get enough time to get the release off?
Which is why I think he might be a winger at the next level, because you want to get that shot into open areas. He's been playing center. He's going to the University of Providence, the Friars, and that's not going to be next year. That's going to be 2 seasons from now. I mentioned he's an August birthday, mid-August. That's one of the youngest players in this draft. So a team I think is going to jump on the potential of John Mustard. He's ranked as high on our scouting entities at 36 for Chris Peters. Scott Wheeler has him at 45. McKean's has him at 47. EP at 52. Craig Button at 59. Bob McKenzie down at 64. So that to me is very curious. What are NHL teams shying away from John Mustard? Are they more catch-up guys, or are they just not sold on the skill set there for John Mustard? His average rank for us is 50.5. I'm a big fan of this guy. Scored 29 goals in the USHL as a rookie in 60 games, almost a point per game guy, had 56 points, was a plus player at plus 15, and he mixes it up too with 71 PIMs. Now, only got to play in 2 playoff games, did not register on the scoreboard, but the points, they just come naturally. This guy was playing U16 AAA just last season. That's how young we're talking here. He doesn't turn 18 until basically training camps open next year in the NHL. But it's going to be a long path, I think, for development, but the juice is going to be worth the squeeze. I'm convinced of it, because that is an NHL release that we've gotten to see through the highlights of John Mustard.
Yeah, I agree. The shot is certainly his number one attribute. He's also a really good skater, Ross, and this adds to the natural goal scorer that we talked about. If there's a loose puck and he thinks he can get it and get an opportunity to score, he finds another gear. Like he's rushing past defensemen. And a perfect example of that, Ross, is the Chipotle All-American Showcase game, which is apparently it's like the USHL Showcase. And Mustard scores the overtime winner. He speeds past the defender on the wing and then goes 5-hole to get the winner. So like that's what goal scorers do. A little bit more info on Mustard here. I mentioned I've been digging into who has the CHL rights. Well, the Barrie Colts have his CHL rights. Mustard actually grew up in Newmarket, but he moved to New York when he was 8 years old. So I think that's a nice fit for him, as Barrie kind of close to Newmarket here, my neck of the woods, a little bit in that part of Ontario. And a big thing we got to let people know, John Mustard won the USHL Rookie of the Year. So you talk about a young guy that came onto the scene and had a big impact. Rookie of the Year, not too bad.
Yeah, and he was tied for 12th in the USHL in goals this season with 29, but a lot of guys 18 and up, or guys who have been in the USHL for longer, like Sasha Boisvert, Matvey Gridin, and Michael Haig, who we'll be discussing in future episodes as we keep climbing on these NHL draft rankings. But John Mustard, to me, he'd be a high upside swing in the second half of the second round or above. So that's kind of my range for him, would be, well, let's say 45 and up for me. Comes in at 54 on our list. If you're the Ottawa Senators, are you looking at him in the second round?
Ross, I agree with you. I think he's going to go somewhere in the middle of the second round. I think that's a good spot for him. Look, I put in my notes, he's a natural goal scorer with speed to match. I wouldn't be upset if the Sens drafted him with that second round pick. Now, do I think they would be leaving some talent on the table depending on how things shake out? Probably. But for a guy this young, Ross, the runway for him is really good. But I think the Senators are going to be looking for guys that can impact their team a little sooner than Mustard will. So I gave him 3.5 stars just because I like the player, but I'm not sure he's the perfect fit for the Sens at that spot.
He comes in at number 54 on our 2024 NHL draft rankings. Go check out Locked On Senators on YouTube for more draft profiles.